A dry patch of earth, 2 pieces of wood, a handful of nails, and a beaten young man. 2,000 years from the day when he stood at the cross, I'm still working it out if I can. Mysteries too great for my mind to unravel, something I'm struggling fully to see. These are the paths that we're looking to travel if we're ever to truly live free. I mean, this is the image of God everlasting. His is the power that created all things. He is the life that goes on all surpassing, the well from which all of the universe springs. He is the light the dark cannot extinguish. Glory shines out from his beautiful face. He is true wonder, where no word in English can capture the breadth of his love and his grace. Unstoppable, infinite power and wisdom, perfect, preeminent splendor and worth. Stepped down from the heavens, and born as an infant, Emmanuel entered the earth. It's hard to describe. Don't know where to begin, just how low the infinite God had to stoop to take on humanity. Compared to him, we're like something you scrape off the sole of your boot. Time can't contain him, and oceans 100 miles deep are to him less than paddling pools. Yet Jesus is born in a barnyard, asleep on the straw with his cheek in a puddle of drool. God indescribable, gurgling and wailing. Word of the Father, yet learning to talk. High King of Heaven, ungainly and flailing his arms as he's figuring out how to walk. Growing, dealing with hormones and acne. Mum tells the Lord of Lords, time for your bed. Watches him sleeping and ponders how somehow he's like us, but sinless instead. All too soon leaving the home. He's got to be doing the work of his Father above. Doesn't care what others think, just as long as he's pouring his life out in service and love. Bent down to pray, in the garden and weeping. Sweat drops of blood trickle down to the moss. Infinite power, yet his great love is keeping his eyes focused tight to the cross. Wind and the waves and all nature obeys him. This lion can't be conquered by man. Yet he follows his Father. As Judas betrays him, he goes to the knife like a lamb. The word of all truth is condemned as a liar. The Lord of all life, to be hanged until dead. Soldiers twist thorns in a crown out of briar and force it down tight on his head. The King of the Jews is the title they mockingly give, but the King of all kings is his name. The King who would kneel as a servant and live and die for us, to shoulder our blame. Reaching the cross, and he's stretched out upon it. The soldiers, the hammer, the nails driven home. Agony sears as his weight dangles from it, and he is left gasping and dying alone. Gods shouldn't bleed, but our God is bleeding. The Lord of all glory, it doesn't add up that he's nailed to the cross and the Father is feeding his Son this unthinkable cup. That this perfect and blameless, this flawless and spotless Messiah, the one who can't tolerate sin, would fully become all my filth and my rottenness. All he despises congeals into him. Murder and violence, destructive, abusive behavior, the lying, the war and the strife, all the worst evils our species produces, and now carved across this once innocent life. Knowing full well that his Father would turn from the Son who once filled him with absolute pride. In justice would pour out a righteous inferno of wrath against sin that he cannot abide. That Christ would become the curse, he who is holy, and soak up that furious judgment and fire. The guilt wasn't his, it was ours and ours only, but all is absorbed by this broken Messiah. Look at the cross and the awful truth hits me. God himself naked and bleeding and near to death, and he looks in my eyes and convicts me. My brother, your sin put me here. I downplay my wrongs, and I reckon I'm righteous, but here's the harsh proof that it's worse than I knew. My sin kept him pinned there and cost him his life, as that awful transaction went through. Broken, I fall at the feet of my Maker, and tears flood my eyes as I see that my sin is great, but his love is far greater, and here at the cross I am free. He took my place and he trades me his righteousness. God looks at me and instead of my shame, he sees the pure record of Jesus, whose life is now living in me, so I won't stay the same. Dead for 3 days, but no grave could restrain him. All of creation is being made new by the King, now exalted. All heaven acclaims him, and one day the whole earth will bow the knee too. Way short of heaven, oh, I was a goner. Now through his blood I'm restored. I'll take the bread and the cup as I honour the awful, the wonderful cross of my Lord. There is no power like the blood of my Saviour. No other ruler can outlast his reign. There is no hope like the King who gives favour to all who will trust in his name. There is no guilt that the cross doesn't cover. There is one anchor that pierces the veil. This is the gospel. There can be no other, and all of it hangs on those nails. This Jesus, this Saviour, is more than enough, and compared with him, all else is loss. See, you can put faith in all manner of stuff, but I'll only boast in the cross.